So we thought we'd hit alignment today.
I'm just going to say for the record, alignment and me having an understanding of what these mean, I struggle.
I would guess, this just occurred to me now. I wonder, I need to dig around if anybody's done like a survey of the least understood aspects of D&D or the least popular or the least used, because I bet this is up there.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, in my mind, it doesn't have boxes that they go into. Mm-mm. And in my opinion, I think it would be really hard to live in a box of chaotic neutral or lawful good. I mean, people sort of go,
no, that's true.
Even in our own world, people sort of flow between different alignments depending on where they are in their lives, things that have happened to them, trauma, healing, all of that. I think I'm not saying we go to extremes like lawful good or lawful or chaotic evil, things like that. Yeah. But I think we certainly thread through some of those at times. And if not in action, maybe in thought.
Yeah. Lawful in the streets, chaotic in the sheets.
I don't know what to do with that.
Probably best nothing.
So what we did is we knew that alignment's something we wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
And speaking of shout outs to our longtime listener and supporter, Dennis Keithley. He is co-host of the podcast Stardust. If you're a Star Wars fan, you might want to check that out. But Dennis had talked to me about alignments and shared an interest in alignments. I'm like, okay, let's do a show on alignments. Mm-hmm. And so we're not going to try to cover everything.
No.
So we each chose an alignment, and we're going to apply these to different, what are they? Different
situations,
yeah. Types of people that you'd hang out with.
Yeah, so let me real quick so we were going to choose one alignment and describe what they'd be like as a best friend, as a child or your offspring, as a coworker, as a shopping buddy, as a road trip buddy, and as a fellow D&D player.
Okay.
So I did do I found an article from Gamers Decide, which is just an online site that gave a brief description of each of the alignments.
Cool.
So I thought I might share those.
Yes.
And then maybe we can jump in.
Yeah, and then we can share what we chose.
Yeah.
And then get into the conversation.
Right. So I'll make this very quickly. The article is pretty interesting. Again, Gamers Decide. I think if you Googled that and Googled alignment, it would pop up. So lawful good is the knight in shining armor. Represents a character who's strongly committed to upholding the law and doing what is right. Strict moral code. Have to use their abilities and power to help others and protect the innocent. And this is where I think, again, it gets a little bit... This is where it becomes tough, because you got to follow the rules when it's even inconvenient or unpopular. Mm-hmm. And so they may be seen as uptight or inflexible. So they would defend weaker or defenseless characters. They would allow an enemy to surrender. They would report illegal activity to the authorities. They will use themselves as a shield to protect others. They will refuse assistance for the good of the group. They will sacrifice their own life for another. So pretty obvious examples from movies and stuff. Captain America, Superman, Obi-Wan Kenobi. That.
Yeah.
So neutral good. This one is a little bit trickier. It's guided by their own sense of morality and decide to do good. It might not necessarily be bound by laws or strict codes of conduct. They're willing to make sacrifices and take risks. They're a little more flexible and open to compromise than a lawful good character. So it's more of a shading, I think, than a true distinct difference. They believe in balance, do not see the world in absolutes, recognize there are often multiple sides to a situation. One solution may not be the best for everyone. They might be seen as unpredictable and unreliable, but they're going to be guided by their conscience. So they might allow an enemy to get a weapon before attacking. They'll risk their life for others. They'll never take more than their share. They would be willing to break a law to do what is morally right, or disobey an unjust order, which is something that maybe a lawful would be less likely to.
Right.
So this particular author put Luke Skywalker in as neutral good.
Oh, okay.
Which is sort of interesting. Gandalf is neutral good. If you're a Firefly fan, Shepherd Book, and Rand Althor in The Wheel of Time.
Okay.
Next, chaotic good. Chaotic good alignment represents characters unpredictable and independent, strong desire to do what's right, but personal freedom and a belief in the natural goodness of individuals. They might be impulsive. They don't necessarily like rules or authority, but again, ultimately guided by a sense of morality. They value individual liberty and the greater good. They will take risks and make sacrifices, though, to make that happen. So almost like libertarian, and sort of.
Yeah.
Rebels are outsiders. They would play harmless pranks. They will do something because it's morally right, but sort of begrudgingly. Willing to help, but they might want to be paid. They're not afraid to gloat over their victories. And that sort of thing. So Robin Hood, Drizzt is considered chaotic good. R2-D2, Indiana Jones. And if you're into Assassin's Creed, Ezio Auditore.
Okay.
Then we go into lawful neutral. We do what we must. It's a character, it's bound by a code of conduct, follow the rules, not necessarily moral or ethical, though. They act in their own self-interest, but they will do so within the limits of laws and rules. They might not necessarily agree with all the laws they follow, but they recognize their importance in maintaining a functional society. So they're by the book, strict adherence to rules and regulations. So they're similar to the lawful good, but lawful neutral doesn't necessarily see the motivation primarily as helping others. It's more... primary motivation is to uphold order because order is necessary.
Got it.
We work to maintain or establish laws and systems to promote that kind of value. They may not necessarily be kind or fair, but they're consistent and reliable. So they will fulfill all contracts and promises, respect law, respect property, expect to be paid, will stop an unjust killing even of an enemy. So The Punisher, Judge Dredd, James Bond, and the Predator in the Predator movies, which is a strange thing.
Yeah.
I guess Alien versus Predator is when the Predator becomes an ally against.
Yeah. Okay.
So, true neutral. The only real goal is to keep moving forward. So true neutral represents a character who is neutral in all alignments, doesn't feel strongly about good, evil, law, or chaos. So kind of meh, I guess. Act in their own self-interest, don't have a particular moral ethical code. They may act to preserve balance or neutrality, but they're not necessarily committed to it. They do not have a strong inclination toward any particular alignment. They value neutrality above all else and may seek to avoid taking sides in a conflict. They might be indecisive or apathetic. They don't feel strongly about anything. They will fulfill their contracts and promises. They will respect the law and authority. The rest of that seems similar. So Malcolm Reynolds of Firefly, Geralt of Rivia, Duncan in Dragon Age, and the dude in The Big Lebowski. That's a tough one.
That is a tough one. I've always, when I play a druid, usually just go the neutral route.
Yeah.
But based upon that description, not necessarily. I don't know that a druid fits pure neutrality.
No, maybe more lawful neutral.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, chaotic neutral. What good is playing both sides if you can't have a little fun? So neutral alignment, yes, and chaotic in their decisions. It's considered the most unpredictable and difficult to align with. A chaotic neutral character will act completely random and unpredictable. So in a way, I would say that's a very dangerous one for a player, because unless you're a very disciplined player, you become that guy at the table.
Right.
Well, that's what my character would do.
Yes.
So you really have to watch that. So as a DM, you might tell people you can't be chaotic neutral until we get to know you a little better. They may be selfish and chaotic and reckless. They may also be kind, generous, and selfless. No moral code and unpredictable. So they will turn down a challenge. They might walk away from a fair fight. They might taunt an enemy into fighting, consider themselves above the law, even betray a friend if the circumstances warrant it. So what just popped into my head is, I think, Vikings.
Oh, sure.
Chaotic neutral.
Yeah.
So Han Solo.
Yep.
Riddick from Pitch Black. Achilles from the Iliad, and if you're a fan of Lost of Us, Joel, apparently.
Okay.
All right. Lawful evil. The law is for all to obey, or else. So it's a character who is evil in discipline and follows a strict code of conduct. They might be scheming and manipulative and use their adherence to laws to further their own agendas. They can use their position of power to exploit or oppress others, willing to betray allies or break laws if it serves their own interests. They're often cold and calculating, perceived as untrustworthy, ruthless, even if it means harm to others. They will, however, stand by their own word or their own agreement. You are likely to see a lawful evil person kill a helpless or defenseless enemy, desecrate an enemy corpse, betray those seen as unfit to lead, or those who break the law. They will protect those who are loyal to them. They're willing to kill if it advances their character. Darth Vader.
Yep.
Artemis Entreri from The Legend of Drizzt.
Yep.
Ra's al Ghul in DC. Thanos. And Elder Scrolls Mannimarco.
Okay.
Neutral evil. Evil for the sake of evil. What else? Neutral evil is a character who's evil and doesn't care about law or chaos, motivated by their own personal desires and goals, not bound by any code of conduct, selfish, manipulative, betray allies, but they may be random or unpredictable. They're motivated by their own personal desires. This again sounds very kind of in the middle. Might be selfish, chaotic, and reckless. They might be kind, generous, and selfless. Unpredictable, contradictory. They will attack or fight an inferior or a helpless opponent. They are quick to claim responsibility for the deeds of another if it benefits them. They'll take a bribe. They'll betray allies. Willing to help but expect to be paid. So, Boba Fett.
Yeah, I was going to say a bounty hunter fits into this well.
Yeah. Bane in DC. Vecna in Forgotten Realms. Scar in The Lion King.
Okay.
And finally, chaotic evil. Chaotic evil alignment represents a character who is evil unhinged, no code of conduct, own personal desires and goals, willing to betray anything for their own interests, random, unpredictable, selfish, reckless, no particular loyalty, violent, destructive, cause chaos and anarchy. They're the most malevolent and evil of all alignments. They will willingly commit crimes. They will kill someone who's provided food and shelter. Will betray friends and family for profit, wants to undermine authority, will instigate conflicts between people, groups, and nations.
Okay.
Tiamat, Voldemort, Carnage in Spider-Man, and the Joker in DC. So that's quite a lot of philosophy.
Wow. There's a lot that goes on in there. As you were going through those, I'm thinking about our categories. And I'm like, Matt, I don't know if I did this right or not, but we'll give it a shot. I'm sticking my neck out here because.
What did you pick?
So I picked chaotic good.
Okay.
The unpredictable but a strong desire to do what is right kind of person.
All right, cool. I chose lawful evil.
Okay.
I wanted to kind of see what that would. I wanted to think through what that would look like in our world.
So, okay, this is a thought that I've always wondered when I think of lawful good, lawful neutral, lawful evil. Is the lawful nature open to interpretation? So I'm not going to follow the laws of society, but I certainly personally have standards. Is that lawful? Are they referring to the laws of society when they talk about lawful, or is it?
I guess what I would say, based on what I just went through, any of the lawfuls are predictable.
Okay.
Once you understand their code, they follow that. and you know what that code is going to be.
I guess that's where I struggle is whose code and what you know what I'm saying. So I guess if I'm a lawful evil person or a lawful good person, but I seem to be acting outside of the law of society, then you need to figure out what that person's, I like that word, code is. Then you will know how they will behave in certain situations.
And I think lawful good, almost by definition, is the laws of society. Because you look at how, I think they did that very well with Captain America, the MCU. And I mean, he ends up being not lawful good by the end because he
changes over time.
Decides that he can't uphold unjust laws.
Right.
And that's more neutral good, I would say. Not chaotic, because he still has a definite pattern.
Would you say that most people in society fall into the neutral good category, like your average person?
I think what we're going to find here is that what you kind of have already said, it depends on the situation.
Okay. That we don't fit into boxes.
Right.
Yep.
I would say neutral good is probably default in America. And just to go on a tangent, as a geography teacher, I often will watch videos and listen and try to learn about how do foreigners see us when they come here. And that's something that foreigners will mention very, very frequently is the friendliness and helpfulness.
Okay.
So there is a code. You're nice to people. You smile. You help them. But I think put us in stressful situations and you see clearly we don't always do that.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
Alrighty.
Okay, so as a best friend.
I'm going to let you go first.
Okay, so lawful evil best friend. I wrote down wonderful if you're on their good side and you seem useful to them.
Okay.
They would probably protect you really well. They would probably make sure that anything you did wrong, blame would be deflected elsewhere. You'd have some cover, and you know that people would not mess with you because this person has no compunction about hurting people.
Okay.
But you'd also know that they would also be prepared to sell you out if they needed to protect themselves or if you ceased to be useful. To them.
Okay. So a good person, I don't think would mix well with a lawful evil person.
Only if you were,
I suppose, a chaotic, because
if you're weak, and that your sense of self-preservation overrode other things.
Yeah, willing to. Okay, I took a little bit different angle on the description. I gave examples.
Okay.
Of what? So I have an example of what a chaotic good best friend might do.
Cool. Yeah.
And so I'm building off of here. A lot of mine come from this unpredictable side of chaotic, but all of them. Well, a best friend who's chaotic good would throw a surprise birthday party for somebody who doesn't make a big deal about their birthdays. Out of like, it's unpredictable because, well, in the past they've always just sort of just whatever, but here, oh God, and so you should be expecting the unexpected from the chaotic good friend. Their loyal friend, their good friend, blah, 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 but they will do things to surprise you. I don't know how that, again, I'm not certain. I'm not certain that these are going to be accurate. And this is where, like, I personally, and I know you would, love to have feedback from people. Send us an email on this one to let us know, like, are we hitting the mark on these? Did you have a different interpretation? But so to me, a best friend chaotic good is someone who throws a surprise birthday party for you when you weren't really wanting that.
Okay. All right. As a child or offspring. So this is where I mean, choosing lawful evil, I realized I set myself a challenge here. So
yeah, I didn't want to go that way, so I'm glad you did.
So my thought is, if I were raising a child that I knew was of a lawful evil disposition, I would have to teach them the rules and be very careful about how they could be interpreted. I would have to make sure that there are no loopholes at all.
Yes.
Because this is the kind of individual that would say, but you said, and would feel totally justified to feel very angry if they were able to find the loophole and I said, sorry, no, we're not doing that.
Okay.
They would feel resentment. So you have to be very careful. And I'd have to make it clear that any infraction will be costly. So I feel like a lawful evil character or person or individual can function in society, can be useful, maybe even enjoyable. But there have to be guardrails to the point where, not like electrified guardrails, like they need to know something really bad will happen if they transgress.
Okay. Okay. A chaotic good child. So I believe I lived through an example of this as a child, not as a parent. And so, if looking at it as a parent, from a parent standpoint, if you have a child that fits into the chaotic good, you just have to know to expect the unexpected. They're going to do crazy things, but never really for the sake of doing something bad. They're doing it because, hey, let's have some fun. Let's, at least that's how I picture this. So when I was probably freshman in high school, maybe 8th grade in high school, my parents had a pretty strict rule of school nights are school nights. Those are protected times. You do your school events, you come home. You don't go out and do other things and blah, blah, blah. Well, my brother came home from college. My brother is the chaotic good example here. And my brother came home from college. I'm still in school. And he said to me on a school night, hey, there's this great movie I take you to. Let's go tonight. And I was like, okay. I guess he did this a lot. He told me one time, he says, what are you doing? He came to me early in the morning. He says, what are you doing? You work this week? And I said, no. He says, I'm taking you to a concert. And we did a whole day trip overnight, actually, to a concert. To me, that is a chaotic good move because it's not expected. It goes against some boundaries, but not a boundary that would be out of bounds, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Like if my brother took me to a movie sometime, or he took me to a concert, on a weekend or in the summer, that wouldn't probably be frowned upon. And it was where he did it that makes it a little chaotic, but it was under the the umbrella of good because he's doing something for me.
Motivated by kindness.
Yeah, for me. So that, I think, as a parent, you need to, if you're looking at your children going, where do they, it's chaotic good probably because they're good kids, but they're just doing stuff that you're like, driving you crazy.
It struck me, just a tangent, but like, a lawful good child is the one that comes home with a black eye because he protected a friend.
Yes.
Chaotic good is the one that comes home kind of smirking and chuckling because he was able to manipulate the teachers into getting that bully in trouble.
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, okay. I think, all right, I'm on a roll.
All right, coworker. Lawful evil coworker. Sociopathic is the way I described it.
Okay.
Very friendly if you're useful, always ready to take credit for your work, unafraid to sell you out. A lawful evil coworker would be unpleasant. You would constantly be worried about when they would take advantage.
Right.
To try to further their own agenda.
Okay. So flipping that to chaotic good, I think a chaotic good coworker, I would say you could always count on them, but you never know how. You never know how they're gonna be there for you.
Right.
My example of a chaotic good coworker is that coworker who skips out in the afternoon to hang out with his kids, or that coworker that leaves early and convinces you to leave early to go to the gambling boat. I don't know. Does that?
I feel like it would be
That feels like that's crossing a line, though.
skipping out early to show up at the house of a kid who needs some shoes or something like that.
Yeah.
I could
Okay.
see doing something like it. There would need to be a good motivation for what they're doing.
Right.
Maybe the one who's willing to stand up in a teacher's meeting and tell the principal they're wrong.
Okay. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. And not to be mean to the principal,
No.
but to point out like,
Yeah.
I think
Or I guess a lawful would do that if they were breaking a rule, but the chaotic would do it if
the
rule they
opinion
set
is,
up is dumb.
Yes. Right. Okay. That works. I think, I think working with a chaotic good coworker, like the ability to work with someone like that depends on where you fall in the spectrum as well.
Yes.
I think a lawful good coworker would be highly irritated with the chaotic good
Yeah.
coworker.
Well, once again, you see that in the MCU with Captain America and
Iron Man.
Iron Man. Yeah.
Yeah, Iron Man's a little more unpredictable.
More worried about the result and not worried about the impact of breaking rules to get there.
Yeah. So, okay.
Okay. Shopping partner, lawful evil. To me, I said probably not very fun.
Yeah.
They're going to follow the rules, so you wouldn't have to worry about shoplifting necessarily unless there was some loophole that they felt like they could exploit. But I feel like,
Some funny return policy or something.
yes, they would point out how stupid all of your purchases were. I think is what a lawful evil would do. They would have no problem doing that, or saying, or I suppose that, like you said, they'd be the kind that would urge you to get the suit for the wedding and then say, leave the tags on.
Right.
Take it back.
Yeah. Or the prom dress or
That's
whatever.
legal.
Yeah. They've got that. Why do they have those rules? If
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So they're always looking for that loophole. All right. A chaotic good shopping partner. First of all, when you go out to lunch, they'll pick up the bill. Hey,
Yeah.
all right. Excellent. They're also the one that when you're standing in line to pay for something, they're picking stuff up off of the impulse buy thing. But then they'll share it with you. Or they'll give it to somebody on the way out. They'll pick up a candy bar and be like, oh, this looks good. But then on the way out, see a kid that's throwing a fit about not getting something, they'll hand it over to that kid.
Yeah.
And so, they are the classic impulse buyer. When you
good.
go, when you're out shopping, they're the ones that will, when you're like, oh, I shouldn't, or it's a little more than I wanted to spend, they're the ones saying, do it. Or they're the ones that are saying, here's $5, just do it, just buy it.
Yeah.
And getting you to
That's true.
do that. So I think they would be a fun person to go shopping with, but it could be a dangerous trip.
Yes.
You could walk away with a $50 set of dice when you really should have just spent $9 on a set of dice.
And they would probably convince you by saying, yeah, but that's going to that person who handmade them. Help them out. Go buy it.
Oh, yes, exactly. Yeah. So I think the chaotic good shopper would be a ton of fun to be with, but not if you're trying to pinch pennies.
No. All right, road trip. Lawful evil on a road trip. I said frightening.
Yes.
Frightening, because they're going to be looking for ways around all of the rules in every new place that you go. Or they act like there aren't any. There's nothing posted.
Right.
That says I can't break a bottle over that guy's head. So I did it.
The do not parking, that sign is next to this one.
Yeah.
Doesn't say this spot is do not parking.
And they'll blame you.
Yeah.
Whenever they get into trouble, you will be the scapegoat on any road trip.
Yeah. When you take your road trip with a lawful good friend or lawful evil friend, you've got the phone call lined up who you're going to get bail from.
Yes. Yeah.
Because the likelihood of ending up.
It'll be you, not him.
Yeah.
That's
Right. Right. And somehow it's your fault.
Yep.
The chaotic good road trip companion, you're in for a wild ride. For the sake of fun and adventure. And I think that's how they see the road trip is you might have an agenda, but they are the first ones to go off agenda for the sake of the fun. An example, I think I was a categood on this one. We were on a cruise with the family, and we were on an island, I think it was Grand Cayman Island, and we were walking back to the ship because we did our excursion, and now we go back to the ship. That's how it works. And I was like, let's go down this street. I heard from somebody on the ship that this was blah, 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 blah down here. And so my family was very reluctant to do this, but we turned, we went down, and we came across to Margaritaville. And I was like, let's go in. Let's just get a bite to eat. Let's get appetizer. This will be fun. And we discovered that it was upstairs. And so you go in on the main floor, but you go upstairs and there's a big balcony and you can see like the island. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then we discovered that there's a swimming pool right next to that's part of the, and I'm like, if we wouldn't have gone off path, we wouldn't have found this.
And see, that is already making my skin crawl. I must be very lawful because like, what if you miss the ship? What about the time? What about
That's what my family was worried about. Except my youngest daughter. You know who I'm talking about. She was all about that trip. And so we discovered, and so you discover things, but the chaotic good person does put you in a position where something bad could happen, but that's not why they did it. They did it for the sake of fun and doing something good. I'm trying to think of like okay, would you say a chaotic good person could be called altruistic?
Oh, they would definitely.
Like they do the unexpected thing, but they do it for a good purpose because they saw a need.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And if there's a way to meet that need quicker by breaking a rule.
Yeah, they'll do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. And so to turn this full circle, what would it be like to play D&D with a lawful evil? And I said, absolutely horrible.
Be nightmare.
Because this would be a rules lawyer.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I was not thinking that way. Yep, 100%.
Just suck all the fun out of the game, looking at, telling the DM, no, that's not the way it's written. And feeling totally justified to be upset and resentful if the DM's like, well, this is the way I'm doing it.
Yes. Table rules are not for the lawful evil person.
No.
Now, what if it's okay? Because my thinking is they would be the rules person because those rules benefit them.
Yes.
What happens to the lawful good person or the lawful evil person when a rule would go against their character?
Well, I think probably, I don't know. I mean, I think probably a lawful evil would be quiet about that.
Okay.
If it's brought up. Fine.
Yeah.
But they're not going to bring it up themselves. And then in gameplay, lawful evil would be looking for ways to nab treasure before everybody else.
Yep.
Would be willing to make deals with all the bad guys and sell out the other characters.
Yes.
Unless they're useful.
Mm-hmm.
If the player knows I need to keep this guy alive because I don't do magic and I need the magic, then that player probably has a great time playing with the lawful evil.
Okay.
But if you're not seen as useful to the party, that's just what my character would do. Sorry, I'm following the rules.
Yeah.
The rules of the game are you create a character and then this is how you play it.
My worst Dungeons and Dragons experience, I'm pretty sure I sat at a table with, although it was everybody at the table. But I think everything was for the sake of their own character, which is what puts it into, to me, the lawful evil side, when it's all beneficial. Because I remember we looted a chest and there was something heavy in there that was magical, and I'm like, I would definitely use that. And one person goes, well, what's your encumbrance? Are you already carrying stuff that's too heavy? Because I don't think you can carry that. Don't you already have this or that? And I'm like, well, I'll just get rid of it. And they're like, no, I can carry that. And they did not want me to have that. And they were using encumbrance first. And then they were using, I don't know what else they used, something else. And I was like, are you kidding me? But it took us 6 hours to get down a hall in a dungeon. The whole thing took, we probably moved 100 feet down a dungeon hallway in 6 hours. And it wasn't because we were fighting things. It was because everyone was checking rules on stuff. It was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. It might have been, may not have been lawful evil, but it was really bending that way. So a D&D player, I don't know why I could only think of examples of the DMs in this case, but they're still part of the table and they're still playing. So I wrote down the chaotic good DM writes and records thematic songs for the characters in the game to move the story forward. I don't know if anyone's had that experience before or not, but that was totally unexpected. It was out of the blue. And it was like all of us felt good because of it. And so like that was a win. I mean, to me, it's also the DM that shows up with a cooler of beers that when you're sitting in the tavern in the game, pulls out each of those beers and hands them around, and each one of them means something. That's the unexpected things of it. Chaotic good players at the table are the ones that make the table fun. I think, it's good to have lawful good players or lawful neutral players at the table that are balancing things. But the chaotic good player, now a table full of chaotic good players, that could be a little chaotic.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot chaotic.
I mean, especially when they're given moralless creatures to play. Again, that's when you're put into a setting. I don't know that I'm necessarily a chaotic good person, but in that instance, in that setting, I feel like in that monster game, we totally all just went chaotic good.
Yeah.
Even though our characters some of them are evil, or I don't know, are any of us evil?
No, I am.
Okay, you are, but
you're all, and so that's been hard to play, but the only way I can think to do it is just be very disgusted with the shenanigans.
Okay, and you do that. You do that well.
And protect you as my brother.
Well, and you even, if I remember right, harmed me one time to get me away from Mark.
Yes.
I don't remember what it was. Not Mark, but Mark character.
Yeah. Well, I punched you out last time because you did something I didn't like.
You did. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so, but anyway, I think a table full of chaotic good is a nightmare for the DM.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to stop them because everyone's having fun.
Right.
But you're just not really getting anywhere, or it's very little. But having a chaotic good player at the table, with other people balancing it is fun because you just don't really ever know what to expect.
Yes, got to have at least one.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of an example of a chaotic good move that someone has done. I mean, sometimes it can be those heroic things, where, whoa, wasn't expecting that, but that was cool, Well,
I think, I was going to say, I'm not sure I can give a specific example, but I think chaotic good would be taking the story in a total different direction, but making time in that to turn to the new player and say, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Oh, guys, listen, he's got a great idea.
Yeah, that's a good point. Kind of comes full circle when that was a good one to end with because it comes right back to the game. Kind of meta, in fact.
Yes.
Because now
layers upon layers.
Now I'm sitting here thinking about how am I as a player, and then how does that impact how I play the alignment of my character? There is that where people, and I think I fall into this category, I say that this is who my character is, but I feel like they behave more like me.
Yes.
And then there's the people who are really good at, here's who I am, but this is what I want to play. And you've been really good at experimenting with that with some of your characters, going against what you might do, but really trying to follow the spirit of the character and doing things out of your character.
Mark does that. Mark does that very well too.
He does, yeah.
And that kind of takes us back to the whole educational part. That is why this game can be such a good tool. I just know in my own sense of self, there's something very beneficial about role-playing someone you aren't.
Yeah.
But maybe does things that you'd like to do. And I don't mean like burning down an orphanage or anything like that.
Right.
But, if you're a very reticent person, being the bard. If you are a person who is very risk-averse, being the fighter. It's cool. It's fun.
Yeah.
And it's meaningful, I think, and helpful.
I'm no counselor here, but I know that people use role play for therapy and things like that. I'm just thinking, just to even bring it to the awareness of kids at a table when you're playing, like in game club, at the end, asking a question: Do you guys think you played your character like you, or do you think you played your character unlike you? And just get them to be more conscious and cognizant of, how am I playing my character? Am I taking risks, or am I going really safe in how I am in my own comfort level?
One of the students asked Joe O'Gorman in our summer camp how to, any tips for playing a character that's opposite of you.
Okay.
And his response was interesting because I think that caught him off guard, and he had a few things to say, but what he turned it to was, he said, that is that's actually very safe, because nobody thinks, you're not revealing anything about yourself necessarily when you play that. So if you're a person who's very concerned about, how do people see me, it may be counterintuitive, but playing someone totally opposite is actually better, because nobody thinks, oh, that's how you really would treat that person, isn't it? No, they know it's the total opposite.
And so I just think on a psychological level, it's interesting to think about how you play a character versus how you live your life. It wasn't exactly on par with this, but the question with Jill Denitis was, do you ever, because your character is so public and you play this character on such a regular basis, do you ever find yourself making decisions in the spirit of a character versus yourself? And she said, not so much with Veo, but with, what's the other character?
Rudy.
With Rudy, because she said Rudy is so much more like me, because she's motherly and whatnot. She says there are times where I will think about that with that character, because she is so much like me. And so I just thought, I think there's a lot to be said about being reflective and metacognitive about playing characters and thinking about you and that character. But bringing it back to the idea of alignment, I really struggle with thinking about alignment in my characters.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever really played an evil character. And I don't know that I want to.
No.
To me, that doesn't sound like fun.
I'm
chaotic, yes.
I'm not enjoying the evil of the character I'm playing. And I think, honestly, probably anybody outside looking in would say it's lawful neutral. Because it wouldn't be fun for me, because you'd have to to demonstrate lawful evil, that character would need to probably fairly routinely exploit helpless characters in the game. And that's not fun. I suppose it could be fun if it was played for, the rest of the party smacking him down for that. But other than that, no,
and because most of us fall into that somewhere along that band of neutrality, we probably wouldn't.
No.
They would allow themselves to be berated or belittled by a lawful evil character. A strong-willed, neutral, good would probably stand up to a lawful evil, but man, this is such a
lot to unpack.
Interesting. We may have to try this again with 2 other alignments.
Yeah.
And see how our conversation stays the same or changes. But I don't know. If you're listening and you're as confounded by alignments as I am, we would love to hear your thoughts on alignment and how you use it in your game. I do say that I think it's easier to play an evil alignment as a DM with an NPC.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's not quite the connection, the emotional connection to that. I don't know though, because I got pretty connected to Dagger Don and his sister, Ashen Malor, and they're evil. But it was hard to do. In fact, I didn't pull the trigger on one thing that I should have pulled the trigger on because it was me and not Ashen Malor. Yeah, let us know if you've tackled with alignment or given it much thought. Maybe you've been metacognizant or you've thought about metacognitive. You've really thought about how you play your characters. We would love to hear your stories on that. Let us know through email, teachersinthedungeon@gmail.com, and we'll share. Let us know because it is alignment and it is something more personal. Let us know if that's something you want us to share or not. But we'd love to hear your stories on that. All right. Fill up the car, get the gas. I'm ready to go. Like, I'm ready to get in the car and drive to Indianapolis for a great weekend. So you're listening to this on the Tuesday before Gen Con. Our plan is to, on a somewhat regular basis, we're going to drop some shows. We'd love to do it daily, but I don't want to make that promise. We're going to try to drop some shows, let you guys know what we're doing, the things that we're experiencing Gen Con.
And if you are a long-time listener to the show and long-time observer of social media, an old friend is going to come back, I think, to visit us.
Is that right? Okay, I think I know what old friend you're talking about. Last time we saw him, he was with the devil.
Yeah. Yes.
on the streets of Indianapolis.
Yes, in the food trucks.
The food trucks. So, okay, that's who I'm thinking it was. All right. And hey, if you are going to be at Gen Con, reach out to us.
Yes.
If we can, we'd love to stop and say, hey, whatever, maybe we'll get to play a game or something like that. So let us know if you're going to be at Gen Con. Again, best way to do that is teachersinthedungeon@gmail.com. But I'm sure we'll be posting pictures on social media. Instagram, Facebook is Teachers in the Dungeon. Twitter is @DungeonTeachers. And maybe we'll find some video footage to put on YouTube from Gen Con as well. So, all right, Dan, I'm ready to do this. So for the rest of you, we'll talk to you next week, but keep rolling those 20s. See you later, folks.